Okay, so I just want to point out the hypocrisy of Whitebeater Sam Shamoun and this Quranic verse that he cites. Now, notice the irony here. Sam Shamoun is whining and complaining about Islam and wife beating. He titles the article Muhammad and wife beating, catching Muslims in another lie, part one. So, what wife beater Shamoun is saying, or what he's criticizing the Quran for, is allegedly allowing wife beating. But what Muslim apologists beat their wife? No Muslim apologist, from Shabir Ali to Muhammad Hijab to Ali Dawa to Zakir Naik to Ahmad Didat, no Muslim apologist has been accused of wife beating. The irony here is Christian apologist Sam Shamoun has been accused of being a wife beater. He was accused of beating his wife. So look at the hypocrisy here. He's whining about the Quran, or he's whining about Islam, yet he is the wife. He is the one who's exposed as a disgraced wife beater who apparently he beat his wife to the point where his ex-wife Michelle got a restraining order against him. Now, in order for a woman to get a restraining order, she needs to prove physical assault or some kind of abuse, which because the courts just don't give out restraining orders. You have to prove some kind of misconduct or some kind of abuse before the court gives out the restraining order. So in here, like when I read Shamoun's divorce papers, when I was eating popcorn and reading Shamoun's divorce papers, because Shamoun's divorce papers is very entertaining. Uh, the court order or the restraining order was that Shamoun was apparently harassing and beating his wife or physically assaulting his wife. So the restraining order was given out. So you see the hypocrisy of Shamoun. You see the outright lies of Shamoun. But anyways, he talks about the Quran, chapter 4, verse 34. It says, "Men are in charge of women because Allah hath made them made one of them excel the other." So notice what the Quran says. It says, "As for those who from them fear rebellion." Okay, so there's a condition here. Notice what the verse says. As for those who from whom they fear rebellion, abol, abol, abolish them first. So uh, the fourth course of conduct is abolish them first, then banish them from your beds, and then beat them. So when the Quran, the Arabic word here does not mean like to beat in a way that causes injury. The Arabic word implies some kind of a light beating, but notice how that's the last resort. Notice what the Quran is saying. It says, "As for the wives who you fear rebellion," or so, in order for any of this to happen, the wife has to cause some kind of misconduct, or the wife has to do something rebellious or bad in order for some kind of punishment to be leveled onto her. So what the Quran says is abolish them. So first the Quran says abolish them. So that's the first step. Then it says banish them to their uh, don't share your bed with them. That means sleep in separate beds. And then the Quran says, and then beat them. Now, notice how scourge them or beat them is the last resort. It's not the first resort, because if it was the first resort, it would say, beat them, then abolish them. So, beating them is the last resort, but you can't beat them just because they're not doing anything, or they have to do something very serious as in rebellion, or they have to cause some kind of mischief, because other translations of the Quran says if you fear mischief or trouble, or if the wife causes some kind of rebellion, trouble, or anything like that, then there are proper steps to discipline your wife. And the last step is to beat them or scourge them. So there's conditions here. So if the wife is misbehaving, then of course you have to, I don't know, discipline her. Because if your wife is doing something illegal or is doing some kind of something that harms, I don't know, children or harms, other innocent people, you have to, I don't know, discipline your wife, or you have to control your wife, because women these days have a lot of, I don't know, the number one problem here is that women usually poison people, or they cause, like, women, a lot of women, they harm kids sometimes in schools. I read a story about a substitute teacher who viciously beat a kid or slapped a kid, etc., an innocent kid, like I don't know, like a 8-year-old or a 7-year-old kid. So this, like, 30-year-old woman is like beating on a little kid, etc. So if women are causing, if you read Tafsir ibn Kathir, Tafsir ibn Abbas, it says the beating should be light and should not leave any kind of injurious mark. But the whole issue here is that when your wives misbehave, or if your wives cause some kind of trouble to innocent kids or to innocent people, or if your wife is doing something illegal or something that harms the family or her husband or her kids, etc., then she needs to be disciplined. Because, wives, when they get rebellious or stuff, they start abusing kids, or they start acting out, uh, either acting out physically by, physically harming little kids, or sexually abusing kids. Because a lot of, these teacher student sexual scandals are with married women. A lot of these teacher student sexual misconduct cases revolve married women who sleep with their middle school student, or these married older women who sleep with their high school student or a middle school student. And that's clearly, inappropriate, and that's clearly harmful to the kid. So if your wife is causing some kind of, I don't know, problems, or if she's causing some kind of, uh, if she's doing something illegal to, little kids, or if she's harming your own children, or if she's causing some kind of domestic problems, then yes, the last resort, well, first there's two resorts. The resort is abolish them, then banish, then don't sleep with them. Then if she's causing harmful or rebellious behavior, then it says beat them. So the Quran is saying beating them is a last resort, because if your wife is causing, I don't know, problems, or if she's doing something illegal, or if she's harming innocent kids, or if she's harming innocent children, whether it's her own children or some other children, then yes, she needs to be disciplined. You can't let your wife, do these illegal things and then just turn a blind eye, or turn your back towards it. Sometimes wives, or sometimes your wives or women need to be disciplined in a way that's appropriate. The U.S. justice system also disciplines women by not letting them get away with either murder or having some kind of sexual relations with their younger student or whatever, because these teachers who, have sexual intercourse with their high school or middle school students, they're going to prison for, I don't know, like 10 years or whatever, because you can't harm kids, because older women can't harm kids. So the same logic applies with this Quranic verse. The Quranic verse is not saying innocent women or innocent wives should be beaten. It's saying if the wife, notice what the verse says. It says, "For whom ye feel rebellion." That means if your wife, or in other translations of the Quran, it says if your wife, whom ye fear rebellion or mischief or trouble, then the wife needs to be disciplined. I don't see any problem with the Quranic verse here, because it makes sense to discipline your wife. The Bible has horrible commands on women. If you read the book of Deuteronomy, if you read the book of Numbers, Deuteronomy talks about, cutting off your wife's hand if she grabs another man's testicles, or Numbers 31 talks about raping little girls. Moses tells his men to take younger girls as sexual property, etc. So Deuteronomy and Numbers, or at least the Bible, the Old Testament, has horrible commands, or it has more violence towards women and little girls than the Quran ever dictates. And keep in mind, Jesus says, follow the Old Testament. In Matthew chapter 23, and in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 to 19, Jesus says, follow the law. I've not come to abolish the law, but fulfill the law. That means obey the Old Testament. You have to, if you're a Christian, if you believe in the New Testament, you have to follow the Old Testament according to what Jesus says. So there's no way out of the Old Testament if you're a Christian. But the whole point of this video is to really point out the hypocrisy of Sam Shamoun, because we all know at this point that Sam Shamoun is a wife beater. We all know about his divorce case. We all make fun of it, and we all know about the restraining order his ex-wife has against him. His ex-wife Michelle has against him. This is public knowledge. It's all over the internet. He's always mocked. He's mocked daily because of his divorce and his ex-wife leaving him, and his restraining order against him, etc. So Sam Shamoun's a hypocrite here because he's the wife beater. Do you know any Muslim apologists, from Ali Dawah to Mohammadi to Zakir Naik to Ahmadiyya to Shabir Ali to Khalil, to any of those Muslim apologists? Were they ever accused of beating their wife? Did they ever have a divorce? No, they don't. So the only wife beater here is Sam Shamoun, because I think Sam Shamoun is following his Bible, where, the book of Numbers and the book of Deuteronomy and the book of Isaiah talk about violence against women. So Sam Shamoun is using his his holy book, the Old Testament. He's using the Bible to justify violence against his own wife, which led to the divorce and the eventual restraining order that she has against him. So the wife beater here is Shamoun, not any Muslim apologist. So you see his hypocrisy. I just wanted to make this video illustrating his hypocrisy about wife beating, because we all know the wife beaters aren't the Muslim apologists. We all know the wife beaters are Sam Shamoun, and we know that the people who are sexually harassing girls were the Christian apologists like Michael Brown and Ravi Zacharias. Michael Brown has been recently accused of having some kind of inappropriate relationship with a young girl. So Michael Brown is accused of sexual misconduct to a girl who is much younger than him. And we all know the case of Ravi Zacharias, so I don't need to repeat it here. I'm sure a lot of people already know about the sex scandals that he was involved with, or that are thrown at him. So I just want to make this quick video to show the hypocrisy of wife beater Shamoun, because we all know Sam Shamoun is the wife beater and not any Muslim apologist. Stay tuned, more videos coming up ahead.